Welcome. Welcome to the final day of Taming the Monkey Mind. Before we start this session, on the day before the anniversary of Mother's Mahasamadhi, let's invoke the Mother's presence for this workshop and for ourselves and for humanity. Okay, so the last day of this particular workshop, I'm sure you'll agree it's been a very helpful occasion. Sessions have been very interactive and very, very helpful. And it occurs to me that really, if you want to tame the monkey mind, it's a true test of your aspiration and sincerity. If you have sufficient aspiration, you'll see this process to the end. And it's practice, but it's also having the necessary prerequisites to do this yoga. So over to you, Monica, for the last session.
Thank you so much, James. And namaste again to everyone. Thank you for showing up. And before we begin to take up some new points for the last session today and also do a revision of some kind of tools or pointers that we have touched upon in the last two sessions, would anyone want to share about any questions about the practice? Or yes, please. Please go ahead, sir.
Monica ji, I was looking at my notes of yesterday, and I was struck by one thing that I wrote in the context of what you said. You said that separate oneself mentally from the mind. You must look at it and study it. Then it is easy to stop the thoughts. Separate yourself from the mind and look at it and study it. I just wanted you to elaborate on that a little bit, please.
Yes, yes. Thank you. So this is taken up from Aurobindo's Conversations with Pavitra, which the book PDF I had shared on the WhatsApp group also with all of us. So I'll just share on what just you shared, what Aurobindo talks about it. I'll just read it through and then we can add on our reflections. So he shares, Aurobindo, if the difficulty in meditation is that thoughts of all kinds come in, that is not due to hostile forces, but the ordinary nature of the human mind. All sadhaks have this difficulty, and with many it lasts for a very long time. There are several ways of getting rid of it. So what you just mentioned was one of these ways. One of them is to look at the thoughts and observe what is the nature of the human mind as they show it, but not to give any sanction. So we don't listen to the dictates of the thoughts, but we just straightforward look at them, the content. So one of them is to look at the thoughts and observe what is the nature of human mind as they show it, but not to give any sanction and to let them run down till they come to a standstill. This unfortunately can't be done at the very first instant. Before this, Buddhists have said that we need to stabilize our mind. So the mind needs a certain stability so that we can look at the thoughts like on their face. So they call it shamatha practice. This is what we have been trying to do, looking at the breath and or looking at, say, a pebble or a stone or any pinpointed concentration, like stabilization of mind on one uh, object of meditation. So this is what has to be done, the first step. And once we are relatively familiar with the first step and the mind is relatively stabilized, then we can go to the next step, which is the vipassana part, where you can look at the thoughts directly. Because if we don't have the first stabilization aspect, then the moment we begin to look at the thoughts, we get swayed into the stream of thoughts. So that's not very helpful, because that is what we do all the time. So Sri Aurobindo says that one of them is to look at the thoughts and keep looking at them, not giving any sanction to them, not getting entangled, and keep doing that until they come to a standstill. Another is to look at the thoughts as not one's own, to stand back as the witness Purusha. This is what you were sharing, and refuse the sanction. The thoughts are regarded as things coming from outside. So like a fly comes and sits from outside to your food, on your food, like that they're coming from outside. So we have nothing to do with them. Yes, they are coming from outside, from Prakriti, and they must be felt as if they were passers-by crossing the mind space. It's like a vast open field of mind that you have, and a passerby comes and you have nothing to do with him. He crosses by and goes. He comes and, another one comes and passes by and crosses. You don't get entangled with it. So that's what he shares here. As if they were passers-by crossing the mind space with whom one has no connection and in whom one takes no interest. In this way, usually it happens that after a time, the mind divides into two. A part which is the mental witness watching and perfectly undisturbed and quiet, and a part which is the object of observation, which is the prakriti, the movement, the active surface of mind. So there is a passive mind, or relatively passive in the sense that it is the witness, it is not the doer, and there is a part which is entangled in the phenomena or the happenings. So that would be the active surface mind, and then there is this witnessing mind. So then we divide, if we continue doing that for a long time, we divide this into two parts, witness and the prakriti, the witness of prakriti. So he says that the mind divides into two, a part which is the mental witness watching and perfectly undisturbed and quiet, and a part which is the object of observation, the prakriti part, in which the thoughts cross or wander. Afterwards, one can proceed to silence or quiet the prakriti part also. There is a third and active method by which one looks to see where the thoughts are coming from and finds they come not from oneself but from outside the head, as it were. If one can detect them coming, then before they enter, they have to be thrown away altogether. This is perhaps the most difficult way Not all can do it, but if it can be done, it is the shortest and most powerful road to silence. So these are Sri Aurobindo's words directly on what you were sharing. I hope it clarifies a little of what you had shared.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So Akshay ji is writing in the chat box something. How does one stabilize the mind? I think that's why the first session, and which is not just one day, one session, and that is enough. We have to convince ourselves every day, every moment, that nothing this material world can give us which can make us enter into a lasting contentment and happiness. We have to leave our stubbornnesses. We are very stubborn people. We are very, very stubborn, and we think that the happiness that I am looking for has to come only from this or that person or that situation. And wherever our look is, we all have, these few attached spots. So we always, our look is there, and when we don't get the happiness or contentment from there, then we become unhappy. So we have to understand slowly that, uh, get convinced actually, that we are not going to get it from there. And then it is not difficult to stabilize the mind on breath. You turn inward, because masters have said that there, inside of us, within us, there is kingdom of heaven, kingdom of God. Turn within. If they have said something must be there, so why not experiment with that, if we have ran enough? So then I have seen personally, as I was sharing, that when we have suffered enough through our experiments of finding and seeking lasting happiness outside of us, when we have done our journeys enough, then we are convinced that no, I don't want to suffer anymore like that, running after happiness, because there, it's not there. No person can give me, no situation can give me, because things are not lasting in character. It is impermanent. Everything is impermanent, fleeting. So then when I begin to stabilize the mind on breath, then you can stabilize. Just it's a matter of leaving our stubbornness and getting convinced. Yes, please.
Yeah, I get the stubbornness part, but
Hmm.
what am I stubborn about? Maybe seeking happiness, or concentrating on the breath. But and we went over it yesterday, that I concentrate on breath and I just ultimately sleep off. So that is not meditation at all. And not just trying to make a sound wave here, but just I'm kind of just in limbo in some way, that what I'm doing is not right, and I don't know what to do else, because
No, it's not that what you are doing is not right. See, sleepiness, etc., is just part of the process. Let me just give you words of Sri Aurobindo himself. Just a second. Yeah, see. So we'll read something from him. So about meditations, question is asked and Sri Aurobindo responds. There are no essential external conditions, but solitude and seclusion at the time of meditation, as well as stillness of the body, are helpful, sometimes almost necessary to the beginner. But one should not be bound by external conditions. Once the habit of meditation is formed, it should be made possible to do it in all circumstances, lying, sitting, walking, alone, in company, in silence, or in the middle of noise. And then he shares, the first internal condition necessary is concentration of the will against the obstacles of meditation, that is, wandering of the mind, forgetfulness, sleep, physical and nervous impatience, and restlessness. So, this is something which you cannot avoid. I cannot avoid, you cannot avoid, anybody who is trying meditation. We cannot avoid the problem of sleep. But that does not mean that we will not come at it or keep at it. Because at times we may not sleep, right? And slowly, as we begin to get joy in it, then we will be self motivated, Right now, why am I doing it? Because people have said that you must try it, right? But once I begin to take joy in it, see, when we are learning swimming, in the beginning, learning swimming is very, very difficult. You don't know how to breathe properly. Water goes into your lungs, and your mother and father may push into the pool, but you are not really enjoying it. But once you get a hang of it, and it happens with us that one day it just turns for us, we get a hang of it, and then we begin to enjoy the water. Then father and mother don't have to convince us that go to the training or go into the pool, right? So like that, in the beginning everything is difficult, but if we know that this is beneficial for us, if we continue at it, persevere at it, then we see that we very soon begin to have joy in it. That joy keeps us motivated. So not to give up just because it is not happening in the beginning. It's just an art, like any instrument we learn in the beginning. The first time we don't play the notes correctly, not only the first time, for a very long time, but that doesn't mean that we can't play. That does just
I
means
enjoy
that,
the sleep after meditation. So I
yeah,
think I've
and
started doing it.
do that actually, because even that kind of a sleep, which is like a complete calm in the body and being, which you kind of with your will are doing, and it is taking you into sleep, it's a very good sleep. It's a much better sleep than a crowded mind. So continue doing that. If you have a practice of doing it before sleeping, it's at least you get a good night's sleep, right? And not a chaotic mind sleep. So it's a very good idea. Please continue to do that. Don't think that we are unfit or anything. And slowly we'll get a hang of it. And as Aurobindo was sharing, then we can do lying, sitting, walking, in company, in silence. All the time we can be meditative. We can be present in the moment.
Thank you.
Yeah. So please continue the efforts, and it's very good to get a healthy sleep. At least we are getting that. Yeah. Anybody else wants to add on about their experiments or any questions before we go ahead? Okay. So I thought we can, before ending and revising, we can take up the powers of thought and imagination to know that how powerful our thoughts are. Because see, when I got diagnosed first time, I realized that, oh my God, I have so much of power. My thoughts and feelings have so much of power that they have generated such a thing in me that it is manifested in the physical body. So it means that if my thoughts and feelings, negative ones, have so much of power that they have generated a physical deformation in me, then it means that if I work on it, and if I transmute my thoughts and feelings, make them more purer and subtler, then it means I can also have a body which is healthy. So we don't have to forget that right now, whatever condition we are in, we are the, one can say, we can take onus of it. We are responsible for our life. We are the ones who is responsible. Nobody else is responsible, because we are making a choice every moment to think that thought, to have that feeling, to follow that mood. We may not be aware of it, but now we know that we are giving it sanction. So when we become aware of this, then we realize that thought is very powerful. It can generate diseases. And now we know through science that about 95 and more than 95% of diseases and illnesses are psychosomatic in nature. They are generated very largely. Our mind, thoughts, and feelings are responsible for generating and maintaining the disease. So we are very powerful beings. We don't realize how powerful we are. So if I can generate a disease, an illness, then I can also, with the power of my thought and imagination, cure it. So then comes into the picture affirmations, because we are affirming all the time. It's just that I'm not conscious of what I'm affirming. So now, if I begin to become more and more conscious of my inner sanctuary, the inner palace, then I can see the content of my thoughts. Where am I busy? What am I thinking all the time? And why? Do I want to continue? Keep thinking the same repetitions, the same storylines, the same judgments about people in my life? Has it given me anything? Is it going to give me anything? Do I want them in my being? So these are the questions we have to ask. And if we recognize that many of those thoughts and feelings are disturbing in nature, then with this light of consciousness which is shining in us, we can see the content of consciousness. We have to clear the garbage every day, every moment. We have to make a choice not to step into the old grooves and old drain pipes again, which have not given us anything. So we choose, we transform our thoughts, we think about positive things. All that can happen, like we were reading, with the mother, that if we want to make our thoughts run, and run, then we can also think that no, things will change. People will turn good, and everybody will have goodness in their heart. Another way of doing it is also transforming thoughts like jealousy and ambition and greed and lust. We can transform it by rejoicing. In Buddhism, we get this aspect of rejoicing in others. So, for example, if somebody else is having success, somebody's family is doing nice, somebody's kids are developing very good, so you don't become jealous of it because it's not a very nice space. What you do is you rejoice that, oh, how beautiful that there are more good people on earth. How beautiful. And you feel it deeply from your heart. In the beginning, it may feel that you are faking because we are used to being jealous. So when we begin to rejoice and have goodness in the heart, then we are making affirmation and using the thought in a positive direction, because our thoughts are very, very powerful. So mother says that if somebody is ill and you are thinking of visiting that person, in ashram people used to have sick relatives at times, and people in their villages who are not very well, and they would ask the mother whether we can go and visit. And mother would say, don't you know how much better you can do a job if you make a very good mental formation, and if you add a little bhava to that, emotion to that, and wish that person well, feel that person, that may that person be well and happy, and visualize him in good health in the lap of divine, or being taken care of. That can do much, much benefit, mother says, than going and visiting that person and giving him water, for example. So we have to make a choice. Whenever we become conscious of any worries and anxieties in our mind, without having a choice, without exercising that choice, nothing can change, nothing will change. Because it takes no effort to be our older patterns. Laziness requires no effort. It's discipline that requires effort. So when we are trying to develop new neural pathways, it requires effort. So Jetsunma Tenzing Palmo, one of Buddhist teachers, contemporary Buddhist teachers, she says that when we are choosing good thoughts, it's like, you are going into a forest and there are ways where all you can go, like path. And the path on which you go again and again repeatedly, which we call as our older thought patterns, feeling patterns, where our mind goes again and again, it forms like grooves. So you go into the forest, and where people have traveled again and again, their grass is not growing, there is a path, right? So you go easily on the path effortlessly. But when you have to make another path, then you have to walk on the grass and walk on it again and again, so that now here a new path develops, and the older path, grass grows, and there you would not go anymore. So that is how we develop new neural connections, neural pathways. So the brain understands that the habit is changing now. So every time, every moment, we will have two options: whether to take us down, or whether to be uplifted and do something which is, although not habitual to us, but we want to make that effort. So every time we do that, we don't go to the old road, which is very well made, very effortless, but we travel on the grass. And when we travel on the grass first time, second time, third time, in the beginning it's difficult, there is lots of obstructions that may be there. But slowly a new path develops there. And now you become more habitual. That's what we were talking about, developing a new taste. So now we are rejoicing in other people's happiness and not feeling jealous and not wanting to be right all the time, and not wanting things from situations and people in our life. This is something which we have to cultivate. It's like a new neural connection. So many studies have been done on monks who meditate for a very long time. And it's a very interesting study. There must be some video also available of that. If I'll find it, I'll share it. So they studied, they took two kinds of people, one monks who have meditated for many years, and other lay people who really don't have any idea of meditation. And what they do is they put them under the MRI EEG scanner, so they are scanning the brain impulses, what's happening in the brain. And when they put them in the scanner, in EEG scanning, they give them a pain stimulus, like anything which brings some pain. So when they give this pain stimulus, and they know, the people going inside the scanner know that something is going to come. So when they go inside, before the pain stimulus is given, their brain generates pain in themselves. I have not pinched you, but because of the anticipation of pain, I am having a lot of trouble in the brain. So the activity is like, it shows that you are generating pain. So this is with the lay person. They generate pain before the pain stimulus, and after the pain is given and the pain is removed, they see that even then, after the pain stimulus has been removed, they keep on generating that, because they think about it, rethink about it. The minds are not in control, and they still continue to feel that pain in their body. With the meditators, what happens is that they only have pain when it comes, the prick of the pin, it comes and they have pain in the brain. And the moment it is removed, the pain is gone. There is no sensation or recording of pain before and after the pain stimulus. So this is very interesting, and this tells us concretely that how actually we change our bodies and the whole being's functioning if we practice. Because the meditators were fully in the present moment, and if pain is there, yes, I feel pain, but the pain is gone, I'm not thinking about pain. And I'm not thinking about pain before it comes also. So the mind is fully in the present moment. A very healthy mind. So that's how practice helps. And even science has to admit that practice is making really changes in the neural connections of the brain. So if we want that for ourselves, Mother says that human beings are most miserable animals on this planet, because they just generate their own suffering, which is very true, because our minds are not under our control. So this is a choice that we make to work with our minds so that they are supple and flexible and more productive, more efficient, simple, plastic, and happy. Because when we are master of ourselves, as we were talking yesterday, when we have a little bit of self-mastery in ourselves, it makes us happy. That's true happiness. That's not dependent on any outer condition. So that's power of thought. Whether we want to make it into a good instrument, mind is an instrument, or whether we want to misuse it, abuse it, and use it at all the wrong places where it is not needed. What do we want to do? So I'll read some words of Mother from this book, Powers Within. There, it's a beautiful book. If I get a PDF, I'll share. So Mother is commenting, sharing reflections on an aphorism of Sri Aurobindo First, I'll read the aphorism and then I'll share the commentary. So, the aphorism is, thought is not essential to existence nor its cause, but it is an instrument for becoming. I become what I see in myself. All that thought suggests to me, I can do. All that thought reveals in me, I can become. This should be man's unshakable faith in himself, because God dwells in him. And then Mother comments on this. Sri Aurobindo declares that thought is not essential to existence. It is not the cause of existence, but is just the process, the instrument of becoming. And as an illustration, Sri Aurobindo says that all that one thinks one is, one can, by the very fact of that thinking, become. So if we want to become healthy in mind and body and feelings today, if we begin to think about that, so this is now transmuting thoughts. Now earlier, so everything has a purpose. Silencing, quietening down the mind, freeing them of garbage and negative thoughts is necessary part. And now if we have thoughts, putting them to good purpose. So Mother says, by the very fact of thinking, we can become. This knowledge of the fact that all that one thinks one can be is a very important key for the development of the being. And not only from the point of view of the possibilities of the being, but also from that of the control and choice of what one will be, of what one wants to be. This makes us understand the necessity of not admitting into ourselves any thought which destroys aspiration or the creation of truth of our being. So any negative thoughts that I am unfit for this yoga, mere bas ka nahi hai, I can't do it, all these negative thoughts which are just always ready to pull us down, they have to be abandoned. We have to lose a taste of this sadistic pleasure that we get ruminating about our unfitness. It's just a bad taste that we are used to. So, importance of not allowing what one doesn't want to be. So if I don't want to be unhealthy, I just stop thinking about unhealth. I think about health. I visualize myself healthy. But most of the time, since our minds are out of control, we say to the other person, how do I do that? Because the thought comes to me and I am choiceless. I have to think about it. So Mother says that we don't have to allow what one doesn't want to be or doesn't want to do or to formulate itself into thought within the being. So we don't give fuel to all these negative formations in the head. This is again a choice that we have to make. Because to think these things is already a beginning of their realization. So Mother shares at another place that how we are surrounded by the things that we think of. It's only that most of us don't have the eyes to see those things. But if people have occult vision, then actually Mother says that you always carry an atmosphere of what all things you're thinking of all the time. That is what people may call vibes at times. I get vibes from a certain person, because we carry our atmosphere. So what kind of an atmosphere we want to carry? All the things that we are thinking of right now and throughout the day, we carry it with us. Because in some other world, some other plane of consciousness, it is already taken form. It's just that with the gross senses, we can't see that form right now. So this is very important, because to think these things is already a beginning of their realization. So we are all giving fuel, like you go to a petrol station, fueling station, a car comes and you give fuel. So all these negative formations in the mind, that person is like that and I am like that and life has been like that. Don't think that life has been like that or that person is like that. I am fueling it and I'm making it bigger and bigger and bigger for myself. So do I want to do that? From every point of view, it is bad to concentrate on what one does not want. Like, some of us who may have children, when children are going away from homes for their studies and everything, we begin to have all kinds of worries about our children. So what are they doing? Are they okay? Has something happened to them? So instead of that, if we can actually feel that my child is a divine child, all children are the children of the creator of the universe and in the lap of the universe, and they are taken care of. So we transmute the negative, anxious, and worrisome thought into a positive, confirmatory thought, affirmatory thought. This we have to do every time, because by default, it is just anxiety that we have or worry. So from every point of view, it is bad to concentrate on what one doesn't want or what one has to reject, what one refuses to be. For the very fact that the thought is there gives to things one wants to reject a sort of right to exist within oneself. So when we are thinking about a particular thing, we are giving it a right to be. We are responsible for it. If I am thinking about my illness all the time, I am responsible for generating the illness in me, not anybody else. Why can't I think of some good things, that I am in perfect health and I am taken care by the Divine Mother? And whatever may be missing in my life, but there are so many things which I can be grateful for. I have a healthy intellect, I have a mind which understands and reads Sri Aurobindo's mother's words. I have a speech that can speak words. Words can come out of my mouth. I can listen. My senses are working fine. So there are so many things which we can be grateful for. But if we want to crib about things, there also it is endless possibilities there. We can always find reasons to crib about things. So to have gratitude in our life, because when mind comes to the present moment, we realize that, oh my God, we have so much already which is working fine. Although there may be many things which are not working fine. But what about those things which are working fine? So can we start from there? So Mother says that we give right to those things to be when we think about them. This explains the considerable importance of not letting destructive suggestions, thoughts of ill will, hatred, destruction enter. For merely to think of them is already to give them a power of realization. Sri Aurobindo says that thought is not the cause of existence but an intermediary, the instrument which gives form to life, to creation, and the control of this instrument is of foremost importance, the control of thought. If one wants disorder and all that is anti-divine to disappear from creation, if we want the world to be a better place, if we want our family to be a better place, if we want people around us to be a better human being, then we have to transform our own thoughts. So the responsibility lies within us. So I'll read this again, that Sri Aurobindo says that thought is not the cause of existence but an intermediary, the instrument which gives form to life and creation, and control of this instrument is of foremost importance if one wants disorder and all that is anti-divine to disappear from this creation. One must not admit bad thoughts into oneself under the pretext that they are merely thoughts. They are tools of execution, and one should not allow them to exist in oneself if one doesn't want them to do their work of destruction. So I feel this is like life changing, that how much destruction we are already doing by our thoughts. And can we stop that and become agents of new creation rather than destruction and badness all around? We can also become agents of goodness all around. So that is the power of thought. We have to be very wise, very, very clever, in the sense not really clever, but good-hearted. We have to be good-hearted so that we can have good thoughts, positive thoughts, and wish and pray for happiness and well-being of others, progress of others, if thoughts of others come to us. Not think about all their bad qualities and what is wrong with them and when will they change, because that is also I'm making a choice. So we'll again take reflections here if anyone has anyone. Okay, so I'm just touching upon these things. I will share the PDFs. Please go through them yourself. There are a lot of material and I don't expect that all of that will be finished right now. So now again in that book I touched upon power of thought, and then there is power of imagination, because we are imagining all the time. So Mother says, to come down to a more ordinary level, everyone has in him, in a greater or lesser measure, the power to give form to mental activity. We are all the time, always creating images, creating forms. We send them into the atmosphere without even knowing that we are doing so. They go roaming about, pass from one person to another, meet companions, sometimes join together and get on happily, sometimes create conflicts, and there are battles. For very often in these mental imaginations there is a small element of will which tries to realize itself. So it's like whatever we are creating, it's like going out in the atmosphere and battling with the oppositions and uniting with that which combines with it. If our eyes were open to the vision of all these forms in the atmosphere, we would see very amazing things: battlefields, waves, onsets, retreats of crowd of small mental entities which are constantly thrown out into the air and always try to realize themselves. So it's like a subtle world which we can't see, but it is present. But just because if I can't see, it doesn't mean that it is not present. So if I can't see Jupiter right now, I can't say that that Jupiter does not exist. If someone has a proper telescope or a proper vision, then he knows that here it is. So just because I can't see these things doesn't mean that they don't exist, because they are actually creating and manifesting in my being. Like diseases come because of our thoughts and feelings most of the time. So Mother says, but the beginning of this wisdom is to look at ourselves thinking. So catch ourselves thinking. What am I thinking right now? What kind of thoughts are there? Why? So, but the beginning of wisdom is to look at ourselves thinking and to see this phenomena, become aware of this constant projection into the atmosphere of small living entities which are trying to manifest. All this comes out of the mental atmosphere which we carry within ourselves. Once we see and observe, we can begin to sort them out. That is, to push back what is not in conformity with our highest will or aspiration. So, here let's take an example. Now, my will is that I should be able to meditate nicely. I should be able to have a nice discipline for myself. That is my will I am projecting. Any thought, any feeling that comes which is negating this central will in me, I have to reject. Any thought of unfitness, any thought of laziness that may come, they all have to be rejected. So, Mother says that we have to push back what is not in conformity with our highest will or aspiration and allow to move towards manifestation only the formations which can help us to progress and develop normally. So again, we are exercising choice, conscious choice. Otherwise, what is the point of being conscious human beings? We call ourselves conscious human beings, but we are not using our consciousness. This is the control of active thought, and that is what I meant the other day. So Mother now says that this is what I mean by control of active thought. So if I have to think, I think of things which make this world and myself a better human being and a better place to live in. And then Mother also adds actually that if we want to have a certain unfolding in life, we can use this power of imagination and we create it. Mother says that visualize. Say, for example, if I am concerned about my health, I visualize myself in a perfect health and, taking care of myself. So, Mother says in detail, imagine about these things and go into details and add all the things that you would want here and there. And then you make that formation and then you give it away. Mother says that like a bird flies away, you give it away. And now you forget about it. Your job is done. And then we leave it to the unfolding of life. So this is about power of imagination, how to put it to proper use if we want and if we are willing and open enough to try it. So anything here? Anyone? Yes.
Actually, Monica ji, to have powers of thought and imagination in the manner in which you described it, especially to visualize the perfect state I want to be in and then give it away, really, really calls for a very powerful mind. In ordinary, feeble minds like mine will have a hard time to do this. I mean,
See, I what I just said, what I just read from Mother and Sri Aurobindo, we are again doing what they are not suggesting. So Mother is saying not to allow any thought or any suggestion
right,
which goes against your central will.
correct.
So this thought that came to you, you don't have to entertain it or give it petrol, you just ignore it. Absolutely reject it.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Just leave it by the roadside.
Yeah, reject it. Reject it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So Manjuji is asking how to improve visualization. Please elaborate. So anything if we want to improve. So for example, if I go to a person who is a swimming instructor and I ask him that how do I improve my swimming? What will he say? He will say, come to the pool, jump in the water, practice for some time, and no matter if you get some water in your lungs, continue to practice, continue to practice, continue to practice, and slowly you will get it. So we are practicing all the time. We have to really realize that we are practicing all the time. But what we are practicing is all the negative things and most unbeneficial things which are not helping us anymore. So all these doubts about our fitness to do yoga or sadhana or having a discipline, these are just negative things I'm practicing, right? And it, believe me, it doesn't require any strong mind and anything. You just have to be willing enough that now I want to change my life. If you are convinced, nobody can stop. So just like I was sharing that if I want to attend a wedding of a dear friend, I will make sure that I catch that flight and I reach that place and I have the proper clothes and everything so that I attend that wedding. Why? Because we want to. So if you want to, you will be able to jump in the water and learn swimming. And just like that, if you want to visualize, just keep practicing and feel it in the body that whenever we visualize about, say, our health or world being a better place and all the people turning into good human beings, we visualize, and we feel that empowerment in the body. How does it make you feel when things are turning so good right now, not in future, right now? How does it make you feel in the body? It makes me feel very strong, it makes me feel very confident and assured. So feel that confidence in the body. In the body, we have to feel that confidence of the visualization or affirmation. The body has to get convinced. Slowly things change. With practice, things change. And why will we practice? Because I want to. If you are convinced, nobody can stop it. Anything more? So I thought we can do two things in the meantime. First, listen to a video actually by Thich Nhat Hanh, whose talks I really recommend, because he's always talking about coming back to the present moment. And when we come back to the present moment, we see that things are really relatively good. We are not really in that much of bad state of affairs which we think in our imaginations, and things are relatively good. We can start from here. So it's always nice to have those reminders that no matter how much suffering we are in, how much turmoil is going on in our life, always there are some good things which can be our ground for a further going on. So he shares in this video that if the other conditions of happiness are not possible because of things that we suffer in our life, like maybe our loved one passed away, he is not there anymore, she is not there anymore, or maybe we lost a lot of money and we are disappointed. So things may be happening in our life which make us unhappy, but when we come back to the present moment with our breath, we realize that there are other conditions of happiness which are possible. So to leave our stubbornness and to be open to those other conditions of happiness. So let's hear a little bit of this and then we can take it forward. Yeah.
Stay in the present moment when the present moment feels unbearable. It's a good question. Anyone who knows the practice of mindfulness knows that you have to go home to the present moment. When you go home to the present moment, you can find two kinds of situations. The first kind of situation is there are so many conditions of happiness available in the here and the now. When you breathe in and bring your mind home to your body, you are established in the present moment. And you notice there are so many refreshing and healing elements available in the present moment. There's also many conditions of happiness available in the present moment. And with that awareness to generate a feeling of joy and happiness is very easy. That you can do in order to nourish yourself with joy and happiness. So that is the first thing you encounter when you go back to the present moment. The second situation is that when you go back to the present moment, you might encounter a feeling of pain, a feeling of a painful emotion that is in you. In fact, a painful feeling, a painful emotion manifests from time to time. But when it begins to manifest, we don't like to be there, so we try to run away, pretending that it's not there. So no one is there in order to take care of the painful feeling, the painful emotion. So going back to the present moment here is no longer to recognize the elements of joy and happiness, but to have a chance to take care of the pain in ourselves and to transform it. So even if the present moment is unbearable, to go back to that moment is the only chance for us to do something in order to calm it down and to transform it. Most of people don't do that because they're afraid that when they come home to themselves and touch the pain inside, they will be overwhelmed by the suffering. And that is why the practice is to run away. Imagine something about the future to forget. Go back to the past to forget. But the past and the future, they are like images, not reality. Only the present moment is real. Many people try to cover up the pain inside, not only by going back to the past or running to the future. Imagine that there will be some hope, some end of suffering in the future, but that cannot last long. And most people try to cover up the suffering inside by the practice of consumption. We read magazines, we watch television, we find something to eat, we listen to the music, we pick up the phone to talk. Everything we do because we hope that by doing these things we don't have to confront the suffering in us. And we allow that pain to continue to grow in us. So the practice of mindfulness helps us to go home to the present moment. Even the moment is not pleasant, but it is in that very moment that we can understand the suffering and that we can find a way in order to calm it down and to transform it.
So I'll stop the video here, and further he shares that how when we continue the practice of mindful breathing, which is bringing the mind to the present moment, it generates a greater vibration, and Mother also talks about generating a larger vibration, a stronger vibration, which actually envelops the vibration of suffering and soothes it and transforms it into something new. So Mother also says that whenever there is this vibration which is very disturbing vibration, you generate an intenser vibration and a more larger enveloping vibration, and in that enveloping vibration the lower vibration gets kind of eaten up and it is transformed. So we can meet our pain and turmoils rather than running away from them, again through mindfulness of breath and bringing the mind home fully to the present moment, and also cultivating this practice of gratitude, that to recognize that there is so much in our life which is still very, very good. We can be so thankful for that, and to start from that. Anything on this, anyone? Okay. So another thing which is coming to my mind is humor, cheerfulness, and Mother says that it is only human beings who are most miserable on this planet because we just take ourselves too seriously, all our problems too seriously. So if we can develop a little bit of lightness in ourselves and take our problems not that seriously, it requires a lot of courage inside, I know, but slowly we can develop that kind of quality. That how does it matter, who are we but a speck of dust in this vast, vast universe? And our problems then, when we focus on our problems, they become just too big, too big. And if we go back and look at the earth, say from Jupiter or some planet further off, we'll see that we aren't even visible. We are not more than a speck of dust, and we make our problems so big. So to dust off our problems from time to time and to realize that we can be cheerful and light, and not to take this life that seriously and a burden on our head that we usually take. Like a child, we have to just keep dusting off and keep moving on in the present moment. And if we have to think about good things, positive things, so that this world can be a better place for each one of us. That can be our social service to the world if we use our thought to good use. So before we end today and take maybe last reflections or questions, I thought we can make a little bit of revision of key points that we have touched upon. So this is touching upon a few points that we have already discussed so far. One is first of all convincing ourselves that there is nothing, that people in my life or situations in my life, no lasting happiness I can receive from them. I can receive from them many things, but nothing lasting. I can't make people and situations my ground. My ground is in a groundlessness, or in other words, my ground is in the divine. So to be okay with that groundlessness, and then really it helps us to clear a lot of our thoughts, because most of our thoughts are about hopes and demands from this world and people around us. So when we let go of those hopes and demands, which are not leading us anywhere and making life stagnant, then we can really turn within and cultivate a good beingness and good heart and good space of mind and thoughts. So getting convinced that there's nothing lasting that we can get, but we can offer ourselves, so self-offering. We can offer our beingness to this world. Then as we were sharing yesterday towards the end of the session, that if we are looking for true happiness, which we all are looking for, self-mastery, self-conquest, progress within ourselves, which we can of course spill it out, that brings true joy, which is independent of the situations, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation. When we are masters of our mind and thoughts and feelings and body, it gives us joy. So progress brings us joy, if we are looking for that joy somewhere else. Yeah, then one point that again and again we reiterated was that there is always a choice. Every moment is a choice. Like we just discussed with Jairajji, that a thought came and we were not even aware that, oh, it was a negative thought and I need not entertain it. But since it is a bad habit that we have to cultivate and fuel and give petrol to these negative thoughts, we continue to do so. But now we are conscious. Now we know that we want to clear up space. So whenever this negative, unfitting kind of thoughts come, we don't entangle ourselves in them. We don't give them importance. So knowing that we are always making a choice. So to make a conscious choice. Then the other point would be effort and discipline, because if we want to cultivate new neural pathways in our brain and to develop new good habits, we will have to put the required effort, and we will have to discipline ourselves daily. Moment to moment we will have to discipline. Whenever we have to discipline, we have to put effort. Nobody got anywhere, even if we look at musicians or instruments or people who have done good art, good geniuses, all that we see in their life is that they gave a lot of time to their art or skill. That we have to do. So we'll have to put the desired amount of time, give it effort and discipline. Then we will be good at it, slowly, slowly, slowly. Not getting discouraged, not entertaining any thoughts of discouragement. Then again, to come back to the present moment, again and again we have to, one of the means is to keep using the thread of breath, which is always present with us. So whenever we can be mindful of our breathing, we can bring back the mind to the breath, and we are established in the present moment. Here I am, fully here and now. And here and now we can meet anything that we are going through with mindfulness of breathing. So mindfulness of breathing generates a larger energy field in which all the lesser energy fields are kind of taken care of. Then we have to develop new time pass. We have to cultivate a new taste. Usually our time pass is ruminating and regurgitating about all that happened to us, the present commentary, all the bad things people have done to me or can happen to me. So remaining immersed in the thoughts is a bad time pass. So what we cultivate is a good time pass, which is either we turn ourselves, our thoughts and feelings to the divine, if we can do that, or if we don't have a connection with that kind of a divineness, then we can be conscious of our thoughts and either come back to breath again and again in the body in the present moment, or turn the thoughts in a positive direction. Thinking of all that can be good. So that is again a good time pass. So this we have to develop, cultivate. Because by default, we will go into the negative slippery slopes. We don't want to go there. So another good taste that we have to develop is whenever we have empty pockets of time, and we all know, no matter how busy we are, we have many, many, many empty pockets of time. They will decide how will my life turn out to be. Because I am doing a lot in those empty pockets, but I don't realize what am I doing. Now I am turning them into holy dips in the Ganga river, or like sacred water. So if we make those empty pockets like nice dip in the sacred water, then when the mind comes out of that sacred water, the pure water, it's a different mind. It's a transformed mind. So developing a good time pass, we can also make use of japa or chanting, anything that resonates with us. Then giving ourselves to some good work, meaningful work in our life. All of us have some talents and abilities. We all are very, very capable beings in some or the other field. So putting ourselves to some meaningful work, giving ourselves, offering ourselves to this world in some or the other way. Then noticing that whenever our thoughts are focused on me and my story, we are miserable. And when we are not focused too much on me and my story, we are okay. We are fine. Things are relatively okay. So to notice how we generate our misery and to stop this obsession with this little me, this little ego that I call as myself. Because the more I'm focused there, the more miserable I become. Then we discussed about becoming conscious of the surface active mind, the prakriti, and to detach from that from time to time and take stance as the witnessing consciousness. So to disentangle ourselves from the content of consciousness. So one is consciousness, which is looking at the thoughts and feelings and sense perceptions. What am I thinking? There is this consciousness which is looking at the content of thought. So that is consciousness, and then there is content of the thought. So to disentangle consciousness from the content of consciousness. This is what we can continue doing wherever we are. And from time to time, retreating from all the roles and responsibilities of our life that we hold and are responsible for, retreating into the inner sanctuary and totally shutting off all the sense doors and perceptions and thinking and feeling, and totally turning within ourselves. That also we need to do from time to time. In the moments where we are not any role, I'm not a mother, I'm not a father in that moment, I'm not head of any company or not a speaker, not a male, not a female. So completely turning within, naked, of all our garbs that we wear. What else can be revised, I think? Yeah, and again, I had shared conversations with Pavitra. It's very good to read that book, because there also we get convinced how to disentangle ourselves from the content of consciousness. So, keeping pace with that also. And in conversations with Sri Aurobindo by Pavitra, he also shares that how we can place our consciousness, which is always lost and entangled in the thoughts, we can either seat it deep in the heart, we can take it deep in the heart and we can place it there, or we can place it above our head, 3-4 inches above our head. So that's a way of coming out of our brain lodged consciousness, like always, all the time thinking about things and happenings in the life. So when we place our consciousness 3-4 inches above the head, and again, you don't have to believe in it, you just have to experiment with it, whether it works or not, for a considerable amount of time. We are able to then relatively have a poise which is not a very chaotic poise in our being. So Sri Aurobindo suggests to keep alternating with these poises, placing our concentration deep in the heart, horizontal deeps of the heart, towards the back of our chest, deep in the heart, and above our head. So those of us who are interested, they can try these concentrations. Yeah. Yes, and then we had in the first session we had shared that there is nothing mind can do that cannot be done better in mind's immobility and thought-free stillness. When mind is still, then truth gets her chance to be heard in the purity of silence. So if we want to do that, again it is up to us, the choice is with us, the tools are all with us. Lots of words of other masters, mystics, and Sri Aurobindo and Mother, which are pointers on the path. If we want to now do it, that is totally up to us. Yeah, and one thing which also comes to me here is to remind ourselves that whenever we are entangled and we are not able to stabilize the mind in silence, we will realize that we are lost in the 8 worldly concerns, which are running towards pleasure, not wanting pain, wanting to be respected, not wanting to be rejected, wanting to be famous, not wanting to be infamous, wanting gain, not wanting loss. Whenever we are entangled in these 8 concerns, the mind will be chaotic. So just reminding ourselves that, oh, I'm lost again. What just happened? Because from time to time we will get lost. We are used to getting lost. We again will have hopes from this people and situations in our life that they will give me lasting happiness, lasting ground. But alas, they can't, because all of them are begging also. So from time to time, I will have to remind that I got stuck again in the 8 worldly concerns. And then when I become conscious, I can bring myself again to the body and be aware of the present. Yeah. I think more or less that's what we discussed about. So any last comments or questions or sharing or reflections anyone has? All of us who have not shared so far, now is the time. We have around 15 minutes. If you want, you can please go ahead and share about whatever you would like to share. You have given money for this workshop. most of us have given money for the workshop. So please go ahead. You have 15 minutes more. Or not 15 now, 13 minutes more.
Monica ji, if nobody is sharing and we still have 12 minutes to go, you tell us what is your experience of having these sessions and how do people go beyond it? What are your pointers for us to imbibe and practice these messages that you've given us today and which you've all agreed to also? Please tell us.
I don't know. I think I feel that when I'm convinced that something now needs to be done because my older ways are getting very harmful and they are making me suffer, then I am able to make the best use of all the teachings that come, see, either through these sessions or the books that we read or through other masters. But if I'm not convinced, if life is relatively hunky-dory, and a little bit of pain and suffering is not there, then somehow I feel personally, because I have grown through my pain much more than I have grown through my happinesses. So that's why I resonate very much with the canto in Savitri, the way of fate and the problem of pain. That why is pain there in this world? Why is suffering there? Because if not for suffering, I have my older patterns and ways, and I continue with them even when they are very, very harmful. So then when it gets to a peak, when I'm following the dictates of my older thought patterns and feeling patterns, and then something happens in my life which brings me suffering, which brings me pain, then I question that, oh, how can I change this? Because nobody likes to suffer. So I feel that when we are convinced through our own life experiences, and this workshop may do good to some of us, may not touch a chord with some of us, at all. So it would totally depend on our own receptivity. How am I open? How much am I open? How much I have suffered in my life that I really want to work with this mind, which if it not tamed, it's actually a very, very bad master and it makes us suffer. So I think it's just that I can see that it's our own experiences, life experiences, and all of us have our life experiences that will make us convinced to be open, receptive, and to make the best use of all the material nowadays that is available for our growth.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody wants to add on anything? Any last comments? So I hope we all continue, and I'm sure we will all continue because we have to. We are human beings. We have something in us which keeps propelling us to be better and better and better. So I'm sure we all will continue our own individual practices, whatever resonates with each one of us, which may be different for each one of us, which may be according to our own natural inclinations and unfoldings of our life. So may we all continue to practice, may we all continue to progress a lot in our life and learn from our challenges and difficulties and all the raw material that life gives towards more and more progress. And may we be little torches of light wherever we go, as Mother says. So thank you everyone, and thank you, James. Yes, my email ID, Manjuji, I'll share on WhatsApp group. Yes.
You're
Thank
very,
you.
very, very welcome, Monica. It was really, these 3 days have been so beautiful and so rich in insight, and sincerity is another word that occurs to me. Very nice indeed. I just wanted to tell everyone I'm going to circulate a feedback form with the group. And we'd be very grateful if you could fill it in, because your assessment and your review is very valuable to us. And so please have a look at it. It'll only take a couple of minutes to fill it in. So we have very many workshops coming up soon. And also we have, in January, we have a 4-day conference, Third International NAMAH Conference, on understanding and eliminating suffering and pain. And it's to be held at Society Hall in Pondicherry, but it will also be streamed online to people that cannot attend. Most of the people that are speaking at the moment are speaking in person. They're coming in person, which is very nice. There are a few people online, but the big majority of people are actually going to come along, take the time to spend with us and to speak in person, which is very, very precious to us. Apart from that, we have many other events lined up, and I hope that you can attend at least some of them if you feel that they resonate with you. As I'm sure this particular workshop resonated with you as well. Yeah. So thank you very much, Monica.
Thank you, James, and thank you everyone for your receptivity and openness, and this willingness to change our lives.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Keep at it, everyone. It's certainly worth it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, James.
Bye, Jared.
Will you circulate the feedback forms on WhatsApp?
Yeah, I'll send them on the WhatsApp group now. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that now.
Thank you, James. Hope to keep in touch with you.
Yes, I hope so too, sir.
Cheers.
Thank you.